Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you a brief update. So we had a little teaser a little while ago with the video where we had this really nice Factory Five Racing, the little Roadster, the Cobra Roadster. It was in our enclosed trailer. We picked it up from the client's home and we brought it here to the spa at Last Chance Auto Store. I know there's lots of people out there that were asking about the car. I apologize for the delay. This is the time of year where it's really busy in the shop. So what we've done is we've started to do our inspection on the car. We've seen some concerns with it, but what we're going to do first of all is just kind of, as people are really interested in this car, it's the highest volume car that Factory Five Racing sells as a kit. So this was a vehicle that someone bought the kit, assembled it themselves, had it for a little while, and then sold it. So the client or the owner that has this vehicle now purchased it already built. So there's some tweaking that we're going to need to do just to kind of correct some things, but these are quite a neat car. So you're probably very familiar with the style of the car, and it's basically a Cobra Tribute, a Shelby Cobra Tribute Car. So it's a fiberglass body. It has really nice suspension and frame. So this style was the basic kit that you purchase the frame and the body, and then you use a donor vehicle. So they used a 5-liter Mustang engine and a lot of the components from a Mustang as the donor to keep the cost down of the overall build, and then they made some improvements or upgrades with some of the Ford Mustang parts. So we have the one wheel off. We'll show you in a little while. We got a couple concerns with the suspension, but these are a really neat car. So I apologize, kind of messy in the shop here. Karen Person's going to trip over some of my junk. So we just have a little bit of bubble wrap here just to protect. We normally have sleeves on them, but we don't want to scratch the black paint. So it's just bubble wrap, and it helps just to make sure. The guys are really careful with the hoist. So you can see the style of the wheels are quite nice. The side pipes with the cover. So appearance-wise, very, very nice. We have the trunk lid off because we're going to be doing a little bit of touch-up. There was somebody that was doing some polishing on the vehicle, and they busted through the clear coat. So it's a base coat, clear coat paint finish. There were some grommets that weren't done right for the rear bumpers. You can see we've got the tail lights marked. We've got them all labeled because we're going to be moving those to do some polishing later after we do some of the paint correction. And we noticed some wiring issues. So everything is wired direct. And there's a lot of crimp, so we're going to kind of do some detail work there. You can see how nice the wheel package is. The tires are nice and wide. These are the nitros, which a lot of people are running these nitro tires. Really nice look. The style is probably second to none. It's a very familiar style of car. So basically we'll just kind of come around this passenger side. So there's a lot of nice things about it. The interesting thing, now we're a restoration shop and we do a lot of resto-mod stuff. So from a professional standpoint, some of the features or the way this car was built is not the way we would do it here at the shop, but we have to be very careful. We don't want to nitpick or make fun of anybody's work. But our main thing is to make sure these cars are built properly. That number one, that they're safe to drive and they're fun and reliable. So keeping that in mind, when we come around the front here, so we're going to do some neat things to it. In a later video, we'll share with you underneath the hood. It's a stock 5-liter Mustang engine. There is a supercharged, but the way they've installed the supercharged, it's very, very low power. There's no bumperettes on the front, so there's some detail stuff. So you can see here we've marked and measured and we've drilled holes because the client was a little bit nervous doing that. We're probably going to do something with this. It's a homemade license plate frame that they attach to this. I think it kind of takes away from the look of the car. We have a supplier who has a power license plate holder, and it's probably going to be, we can just wire it with the key. So it'll be something that we can actually tuck away. It'll be flat, and then only when you start the car it'll come up. Because legally here in Ontario, Canada, you are supposed to display the license plate. So that's what they had made, just kind of homemade one. But it takes away from the look of the car, so it's probably one of the things we'll do just to kind of tighten it up a little bit. So we have the holes drilled. We're getting the correct hardware for it, so it'll have the true or proper bumperettes in the front. Now there's something, as the camera person come back around to this driver's side, there's a couple of things that we're going to do a little bit of research on. I think I've got to get on this side. So essentially, this, as I mentioned earlier, this is a donor kit. Not all the components are brand new. So you can see this bottom control arm. This is an original control arm from the donor Mustang. And then some of the components are from Factory 5 Racing. So you can see we've got the strut, and it's adjustable. So it's it even has the Factory 5 part number. So it's got our coil, and it's adjustable. The top control arm is what's supplied with the Factory 5 kit car. So the top part is Factory 5. The bottom is a donor 5-liter Mustang. There's an issue. So one of the things you do is you use the steering rack from the donor, or you can purchase one. So this is a donor rack, and for the rack to fit properly with the for the tie rods, there's an extension, and not sure if I can show it in the camera or not. So there's an extension kit behind that boot. Hopefully you can see it. So there's an extension kit that you need to buy if you're going to use the steering rack out of the donor Mustang. There's an issue that we need to do some research with. So there's a couple of things that happen. First of all, the client noticed when you jack the vehicle up, or if you're doing an oil change on it, and then when you go to set it down, there was a really loud clunk. And what's happening is this this coil that's surrounding the suspension, you can see here there's zip ties here that are broken. So hopefully that comes up. So there's got zip ties. The biggest problem that I see is this tie rod, and you can see it's got a worn mark right in it. It's right up against, so when you turn the wheel, you've got a couple of things going on. First of all, the tie rod itself is coming in contact with the strut spring. And then you can see there's scrubbing here on the inner. So the tire is not only scrubbing on the inner aluminum piece, but also in the back. So when it's turning, you can see it's scrubbing in. So there's obviously some issues with the scrubbing. One of the things you can do, this has the newer style hub as opposed to the older Mustang hub. So this is the upgraded version of the bearing and rotor. So just the newer style on the donor Mustang. So in the instructions on the assembly, and we'll probably make a call into Factory 5 because they're very, very helpful. We're just going to ask them because there's a lower control arm kit that you can purchase for this application, and it brings everything out a little more, and it repositions the front strut. And with the strut in a different location, it won't hit or scrub up against the tie rod itself. Because right now, I think we got that in the camera. So it's really hard up against it, and it's been scrubbing and making full contact with the strut on both the driver and passenger side. We just pulled this side open just so we can show our client who lives far from here. The other issue that we have, part of the clunking noise, is there's play. I'll just see if I can take some of the tension off. I'll just move this a little bit. So one of the other things, I don't know if it'll do, yeah, so the distance or the spacing. So you can see this coil spring, there's slop or play between the top plate and the bottom plate. So it's adjustable, but when you adjust the ride height to the height you'd like this nice Factory 5 car to be, there's play here. And in the instructions they state to use zip ties. You can see that's what someone did. They followed the instructions. There's a broken zip tie here and another one on the other side. So what they say is to stop with this rattling is just put a couple of zip ties on here. So this is one of the noises our client was hearing. So you lift it up to do an oil change or some maintenance, and when you go to set it down, this coil would kind of sit in place. So I think it would be probably better to have a better fit in here, so you don't have this and you're not relying on a couple of zip ties to stop the rattling. So what we'll do is in the next video, we're just waiting for a call back from Factory 5. We're going to see what options there are. The other Cobra that we had here, the little Roadster, it had the lower control arm that was Factory 5 Racing, and there was no issues with the position. So if a camera person come in through this side, so you can see where it mounts. There's a mounting bracket, and then you've got the point where the bolt goes through, the nut and bolt with the lower strut. If that was in a different position, if it was back further, you'd have more clearance, and then this tie rod wouldn't be in contact with this spring. So I'd like to try to avoid having to spend our clients money and buy the Factory 5 lower control arm to reposition this. So we'll share with you in an upcoming video what we find out as a result, because they do a really nice job with the upper control arm. The ride height is where the customer wants it, so to eliminate this rattling noise, we would have to readjust that to put tension on the spring at all times, but then it totally changed the ride height, and I don't think they're going to want the car quite a bit higher. So just a brief update. This is the Factory 5 Racing Roadster, and I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.